Welcome to my channel. My name is Kaylin and this is my alopecia journey. I wanted to make a video today just talking about my alopecia, how it started, what life has been like, if I've had any treatments, you know, just all the good stuff, the good, the bad, the ugly. So if you are interested and you have alopecia too, or maybe you don't, just keep on watching. So I have some notes in front of me. So if I look down, that's why. I apologize. And my dogs also might make noise in the background. They're hanging out with me on the floor. So I guess I should start with how my alopecia started. But before I say that, I guess I'll start with when I was born. So I was actually born with a head full of black hair. My mom always tells me that she remembers one of the nurses when I was born. One of the first things she said was, "Oh, she has a head full of black hair like Dad." So I was born with a full head of hair, super dark, and it wasn't until I think I was at least a year old, according to my mom. Of course, I don't remember any of this, when I got an ear infection, and whatever the doctors prescribed to me, it had sulfa in it, which I'm sure people take all the time, but I was allergic to it and we didn't know. So my alopecia could have, I could have already had it genetically, and then my allergic reaction was really bad, and that stressful of an event on such a tiny body as, you know, a 1-year-old could have been what sparked it, because doctors do feel like sometimes a stressful event can cause someone to get alopecia. So long story short, don't really know for sure, but after I took sulfa for that ear infection and I got really sick, that was when my hair all started falling out. So I apparently, of course, I've seen pictures, but I don't remember. Right before it fell out, it all turned like a peachy strawberry blonde, and then it fell out. So that was how my alopecia started. So I have had no hair for all of my life that I can remember. So as I think I said in my very first video, anyone can really get alopecia at any time, and there are different variations of it. Some people just get tiny spots that they can cover up. Some people lose all of their hair. People grow it back all the time, and some people don't. But statistically, I guess since I've had it for so long from such a young age, the chances of my hair ever growing back are very slim to none. So I probably will not ever grow my hair back, and I'm okay with that. So there is no cure for alopecia. There are a lot of treatments that people try, but I never did any of them. As a child, my mom really didn't want to put me through any of that. She didn't want to do steroid shots in my head because we heard they're very painful, and she didn't know what different medications might do or affect me later in life. She was just very protective, and she didn't want to put me through anything that could have been harmful or stressful for me, or just, you know, not that there's anything wrong with parents who do you know, try different treatments with their children, but my mom just didn't want to, so I never did. So I am not a good source as far as experience with any type of remedies or treatments or anything like that, because honestly, in my entire life, I'm 28 years old, and I've never tried any treatments for my alopecia. There was 5 of us growing up until my youngest brother was born when I was in 6th grade. But so growing up most of my childhood, I was one of 5 kids, and obviously my siblings had hair. So clearly I was different. I knew I was different. But, you know, when all your family knows and it's normal at your family functions to be bald or wearing a bandana or wearing hats, you don't really think you don't really feel different. I didn't feel strange. My siblings were all very loving and supportive, and they always played with and touched my head, and so I had a really good experience just in childhood. But when I started school, my mom decided, and I probably was a part of this decision, I don't remember, but that I would wear wigs to school. And I think she was probably worried for me. She didn't want kids to make fun of me and for me to feel different. So when I started school, I wore wigs, but my dad actually came to school with me, I remember, in kindergarten, and I took off my wig in front of the whole class, and we explained to my class that I was bald and that I had alopecia and that it was an autoimmune disease and that I was gonna wear wigs to school, and everybody was really accepting of it. I think when you're 5 years old, you know, you don't care. You're not, you know, you're just a kid. I don't know. I don't think that we judge people. I feel like it's learned a little bit later in life, you know, to do that. So my class was really supportive and really sweet, and it wasn't until like a few years into elementary school that I started to feel, hey, Charles, no barking. I think elementary school wasn't that bad. It wasn't really until a little bit into elementary school that I started to feel kind of weird. Kids knew, and towards the end, as we got older, like closer to middle school, kids started to be a little mean. I remember getting called wig girl by a couple people, and I didn't feel bad about it until I was called that, and the way that the kids said it. So there was that, but all in all, you know, elementary school wasn't that bad. I did have a couple funny moments. I used to twirl on those twirling bars, and I'd go around in circles over and over again. There were so many times that my wig flew off my head. I can't even count. I don't even remember them all, probably. So things like that happened, and as that happened, more kids knew. And I didn't really care to hide it until kids started to get mean, and that was when I wanted to hide it. And I think it probably wasn't until middle school that it became something really hard for me. Middle school was just so terribly awkward. Everyone's awkward. Everyone's, you know, going through puberty, and it was just an awkward time. And I think as all the girls, like, we were starting to turn into young women, was when I started to feel like I needed my hair to be beautiful. And yeah, middle school was just when things got hard. So I started to cover it up. I would lie. At that point was when I tried to tell people that I didn't wear wigs, but so many people knew at that point. But my friends would lie for me, and we just tried to hide it. But in 8th grade, I believe, Locks of Love. I'm sure Locks of Love had been around and been a thing for a while. It's basically you donate your hair, and Locks of Love makes wigs for children that either have, you know, alopecia or cancer or hair loss for any reason. They make them for you, and it's real hair, and it's silicone suction cups to your head. I know certain people have lots of different things to say, but for me, Locks of Love was absolutely amazing. It changed my life. But my Aunt Lori, my mom's oldest sister, found out how to get me a Locks of Love hairpiece. So she kind of spearheaded that whole process for me, and it was in 8th grade that I received my first Locks of Love, and I felt so beautiful in that thing. It was long, and it was dark, it was pretty, and I felt beautiful and amazing. And the thing with it was that it was a hairpiece that you could sleep in, you could swim in, you could put it up. Like, it was the closest thing that I'd ever had to just having hair like everybody else. And up until then, certain things were hard, like sleepovers were hard. Because I was getting to a point where I didn't feel like I was pretty if I didn't have hair like all the other girls, and that's sad, but that was how I felt at the time. And I would avoid sleepovers, or they would just be very stressful for me because the wigs that I had I couldn't sleep in, so I knew I would have to take it off. And I was self-conscious, and even though I had great friends, I just, you know, in a group of girls, I didn't want to take my wig off and be the bald one. I wanted to have my hair. I wanted to, like, sleep in a messy bun and wake up with messy hair. Just all those little things that you'd never think about. I wanted so bad. Locks of Love solved that for me. We used to go on field trips to Splash. It's a indoor swim park where I live, and I remember that being really hard for me because I couldn't swim in the wigs that I had. So suddenly I had this Locks of Love, and I felt beautiful. I could swim in it. I could have sleepovers. It allowed me to do cheerleading in high school because it would stay on through backflips and jumping and dancing and all that, you know, craziness. So Locks of Love was really when things turned for me, and I gained a lot of confidence, and it was amazing. But at the same time, I also feel like that was when it was too easy to cover up that I had alopecia. It solved like every problem I had, everything that I thought was a problem, you know what I mean? So it became way too easy to just hide underneath it, and I wore my Locks of Love wig all the time. The problem was that it just made it that much easier to hide it, which that did not help me to be proud of my bald head or secure with my bald head. Like I said, it just made it easier to hide it. So as much as I do feel like it was a good thing and it opened up a lot of opportunities and different experiences for me, I do see where it could have done a little harm because it didn't force me to learn to accept myself. So fast forward to adulthood. Obviously, school made things harder. Once I graduated high school and I went on to college, and I met my now husband, and just, I think a lot of things change when you leave school and you become, you learn who you are as an adult. It's not that that happened right away, it certainly did not, but you just, you don't have to worry as much about what people think. But so you can get Locks of Love hair pieces. At least this was a while ago, but at the time for me, I was able to get them until I was 21 years old. So I got my last hair piece when I was 21. And once you had it for a year, if it was your final hair piece that you were going to get from them, you could send it in and they would basically repair it and make it brand new again. So if any hair had fallen out, they would put more hair in it, fill in areas. If the scalp was breaking down, they would repair that and kind of make it good as new again. So I got to the point where I needed to do that, and that whole situation caused so much anxiety for me because I had to be without my Locks of Love, which at that time, I got my first one when I was 13. So for 8 years, it literally was kind of like my Locks of Love was like my security blanket. So I had to go shopping for wigs to wear in the meantime while it was getting repaired. And I think that was what made me finally open up and start sharing, because I went to a wig store with my husband, and the lady was awesome. It was Wig Warehouse in Gresham, Oregon. And I went there and she put a bunch of wigs on me and I tried a bunch on, and my husband and I left with 2 that day. And I got a long dark one that kind of looked like my Locks of Love. That I wanted that one because I didn't want people to be able to tell that it was not my Locks of Love. And then I got this short little blonde bob. And I think that was kind of the turning point, because I actually started switching up my wigs every day. So I only had 2 to start, but anyways, yeah, I came into adulthood and I started switching up my wigs, and I think that was where I started to get a lot more secure with it. So fast forward to now, I guess. I am still shy about it sometimes. Like I said, in my first video, I'm still scared to take my wig off in front of people sometimes. I don't really go out in public without my wig. So I have hurdles to jump through. Obviously, I'm wearing a wig today. This is the Zara by John Renault. I still wear wigs every day. I wear them to work every day. And I'm still on my journey, I guess, to being secure with myself, but I do feel that I've come a long way. I feel like I can feel them lifting and shifting. I don't worry as much if people can tell I'm wearing a wig. Like before, it had to look super natural and I didn't want anybody to know, but now it's like, if someone looks at it and they can tell it's a wig, like, that's okay, Wigs are also becoming so normal now too. So many people wear wigs that have hair, and I think it's so awesome and it's so fun, and I love that people are having fun with wigs. And I know that we shouldn't rely on the outside influence to help us define our self-worth, but I do feel that having a super supportive partner has what's helped me so much. I owe so much to my husband. He's absolutely just amazing. He drives me insane, but he's just so supportive, and he helps make me feel so beautiful regardless of if I have a wig on or not. Sometimes I think he prefers me without it. I truly do, because that's me in my most natural form, I guess. So you shouldn't have to rely, I don't feel, on your partner, but if you are struggling with anything, you know, any ailment, anything physical, anything, you know, just about anything about yourself at all, any insecurities that you have, if you don't have a supportive partner or you have a partner that brings out those insecurities in you, that's, yeah, no. You should find someone who's supportive of you, who makes you feel good. So I owe so much to him, and yeah. So that's kind of what my journey was like. I feel like I really condensed it, and I probably left some things out, even though I tried to follow my notes, but I didn't want to ramble forever. So yeah, my journey has been dynamic. It's had highs and lows. I'm at a good place now. I still have a ways to go, I think. That was my journey. If you enjoyed the video, you should thumbs me up and subscribe. And I guess I just want, if you're a young girl or a young boy and you're just getting this, even if you're an adult just getting this, I just want you to hang in there and know that it does get easier. Things get easier. I hope you can learn to accept yourself, and I hope you surround yourself with people who are really supportive and help you do so. And alopecia is not the end of the world. Hair is just hair. Yes, is it fun? Does it make you feel pretty or handsome? Yes, of course, it is fun. Wigs are fun, but bald is fun too. And there's actually a lot of conveniences to being bald. Maybe I'll make a video about that too, like things you wouldn't think of. But yeah, I hope people got something out of this video, and I hope you liked it, and I hope you stay tuned for more. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye.